So it's finally 2024. Last year was kind of a disaster for the tabletop community. We had the OGL scandal with D&D, we had the massive price hike and quality drop in Warhammer, and we had the Pinkerton sent after Magic the Gathering fans. Now, it wasn't all bad, we did have some good things. The whole OGL scandal pushed us forward and made us try new games. I've been trying Pathfinder, Starfinder, Call of Cthulhu. I got Vampire Masquerade, but I haven't tried it yet. I really want to. And there's a lot of third-party, smaller companies doing stuff now too, and I'm really excited to see how all of that works out. Let's hope that this year goes better. Yeah? So to do that, to start the year off right, let's read us some wholesome D&D stories, eh? And I'm going to agree with Admiral Mongoose53 here, where I have also mostly seen horror stories about the D&D tabletop community. We have the bards who take the memes too far, we have the DMs who literally poison their players, and we have a lot of infighting about who should buy the pizza. So today, just like Admiral Mongoose, I want to read some wholesome stories. I want to start this year off right. So let's begin. So about 6 sessions into a campaign, my wizard was downed and thrown into a pit during a bank heist, where they were held by a stasis field so guards can take them to prison without killing them. The rest of the team, Warlock, Paladin and Barbarian, grabbed the nearest guard, rolled a high intimidation check to get a rough map of the area, and while the Barbarian and Warlock held off most of the guards, the Paladin sprinted through the entire complex, used an upcast command spell to immobilize 2 guards, and speared the third with his trident, and then charged directly into the room with the guard captain. By the way, the guards were the bad guys and we were trying to destabilize a corrupt government, as you do. From there, he challenged the guard captain to a 1v1 duel while the other 2 fought off the encroaching guards, and absolutely demolished the guard captain, all to save my wizard, who he barely knew. After this, my wizard spent a long time trying to repay him, which was a lot of fun to roleplay. Now, I love this, right? Because I do this all the time. I put my players into difficult situations where they're kind of spread out. They're doing different things, but they've all got the same goal. And as a DM who encourages the role-playing aspect of the game kind of more than anything else, I love how this situation mixed with roleplay can actually kind of bond the group together. It can force the players and their characters to actually form that bond, to actually overcome something. Next story by ScaryTheFairy. In my homebrew setting, there's a nation that looks like a post-apocalyptic wasteland, where nothing grows and the only living things are horribly mutated creatures. Before it was destroyed, it had declared war on the neighbouring nations, and its government had been developing magical weapons of mass destruction. In what was believed to be an accident, one of these weapons was detonated in the laboratory where it was being built, and the explosion annihilated the country. The party went to recover the spent husk of this weapon, hoping to study it and put the technology to a less nefarious use. They found it being guarded by the ghost of a sorceress who had been forced to work on the weapon. She had detonated the weapon on purpose to stop it from being unleashed onto the wider world. She claimed to be guarding the weapon because she didn't want anyone to reverse engineer it and build another. But after talking with the party for a while, she confessed that she hadn't passed on to the afterlife because she was afraid her soul would be sent to the 9 hells. Rather than taking the spent weapon by force, the party consoled the ghost and reassured her that she'd done the right thing, at least as far as her circumstances would allow. They convinced her to pass on and she disappeared. I'm quite lucky when it comes to stuff like this personally, because my players and I have an understanding and we all kind of want to roleplay. There is obviously the odd Metal Gear Solid character that's just going to just stab deep gnomes just to see what happens, but for the most part we tend to roleplay, and I really like this because you could just attack and you could have a really fun combat, and to be fair, the DM could have planned a good combat, so it's great to see what works with your players. And honestly, I ran something very similar to this myself. There's a one shot up on the Patreon. It is called The Wizard's Demise, and during my test run with it, I had a whole combat scenario planned out. It's all written down, it's in document, and the players talked to the character instead, and I loved it, and it changed the entire outcome of how things went forward. But you know, that's what the game's about. Also, the whole she did the right thing as far as the circumstances would allow. Obviously we weren't there. The trolley problem persists into our games, I suppose. Next, by Ulura. My warlock didn't have an easy life before the campaign and had a really poisoned idea of what relationship relationships and friendship entailed. Her patron also fed into this, constantly gaslighting and emotionally, psychologically abusing her. For these reasons, she was sure the party would stop being friends with her or just abandon her the second she became too much of a burden, and was constantly trying to prove that she was useful. One session, she ended up dominated and almost killed another member of the party before being saved. Afterwards, she locked herself away from them on their ship, sure that they would leave her behind soon. Instead, they all took turns trying to coax her out of the cabin. The barbarians sat outside the door for ages trying to convince her to come out. Why are you doing this? Because you're my friend. But all I do is cause you trouble. I hamper us more than I help. Who's counting? Friendship isn't about keeping score. It's not? And that's how my warlock started to learn that she has intrinsic value and was more than just an eldritch blast. It's the role play, guys. It's the role play. This is awesome, right? This is great because I'm just reading this, right? And it feels to me like I'm watching this on a screen. It feels like a great TV show or a movie or something like that. And imagine being there. Imagine getting to role play this section. Imagine being the main character. That's what D&D is about. At least for me, and that's what I want my players to feel. I want them to feel like they're the stars of the show. And this is probably the most wholesome thing I've read for a long time. So great job. And to Ulura's warlock, we love you. Tell me some of your most wholesome stories in the comments down below. And while you're down there, why not leave a like, hit that subscribe button, and we'll see you in the next one. A great big thanks to all of my patrons, especially the Dastardly DMs, Whimsical Wisp, and Moxie the Demon.